Thank you very much indeed. Welcome back to Uncensored. Now, a new report out today shows that 23% of Britain's 8.2 million families consist of only one parent. And get this, 49% of children living in lone parent families are in relative poverty, compared with just 25% of those living in married or cohabiting families. During my time on the show, we have repeatedly, and quite rightly, I believe, focused on broken Britain, a country in a mess with crime running rampant, masked men fighting with 4-foot machetes in Leeds, an armed robbery in broad daylight in West London, and the shocking murder of 9-year-old Olivia Pratt-Corbell in Liverpool. Now, as well as talking about broken Britain, we've also been talking about its causes. And actually, one of the real causes, it says in a newspaper article today, could indeed be the social decay. Is it staring us in the face? Is the breakdown of the traditional family unit part of the reason? Have a look at this.
And they're thugs. They are the scum of the earth, and they take firearms out onto the streets, and poor Olivia, rest her soul, is the victim of that.
The issue is that we have an element of criminality, which I would say is more of an issue that relates to poverty, a cost of living crisis.
The scale of the crisis that is about to engulf us, both customers, consumers, ordinary general public and the businesses, is so immense.
People on universal credit, if they're young, they get less than £300 a month. That's not enough to carry their electricity bill.
I have a very dysfunctional family of my own to discuss this in the Uncensored studio. A campaign director at the Conservative group Citizen Go, Caroline Farrow, welcome. Talk TV legend Mike Graham and political journalist Ava Santina. Can I start with you, Caroline? It seems particularly unfair to label one-parent families as the cause of the problems in this country, doesn't it?
Yeah, I would agree, actually. I would push back against any sort of gross generalisation. But it doesn't... If you look at the stats, and nobody's destined to be a statistic, but being brought up in a one-parent family makes it... Your chances of being involved in crime, of having low exam grades, of being homeless, they're all doubled. And
Is that absolutely true?
Yeah,
it's not just a made-up statistic?
No, that was...
because I know many people from one-parent families who have been given the most loving, caring... Honestly, and I know many people from families of people who have argued non-stop, and their kids are affected by that.
Well, that's right. You can't generalise. And I think we all know of one-parent families where the mother or the father has been an absolute heroine or hero. But if you just think about it sort of objectively, and it's very difficult to talk about this because people tend to think that you are blaming or shaming or trying to, ascribe blame to people. And very often people in one-parent families, it's not their own, it's not through their own doing. This is not necessarily something they've chosen. But look at it objectively. And I know this from my own experience, and I've been a single parent myself. It is so much harder raising children by yourself when you're just one pair of hands.
But then to read statistics, you told Martina there's a lot more instances of mental health problems in children from untraditional families and they don't do well at school. That's a sweeping generalisation, isn't it?
That isn't quite the generalisation I made, but when I was talking to the research team, yes, it is true that children who come from single-parent families are more likely to experience mental health problems, and the outcomes for them are not so good. But that does not force anybody to become a statistic.
Where's
Mike,
that research from?
So that research is from the Centre for Social Justice and the report that was released today.
But isn't the problem really now about sort of ability and about parents and how good... If you've got one parent who's brilliant, then you're going to be fine. If you've got a parent who's a criminal, you're probably going to be a criminal.
What is a traditional family, Bud? What is a traditional family?
I've luckily contributed in many ways to this particular debate personally by having children within a marriage, children outside of a marriage. I've lived with the mother of my children. I've been separated from people. When I get to fill out that form where it says, what are you, single, married, divorced, I don't even know what to put.
Tick every box.
I don't just go everything. Yeah, thanks, I'll take it all. The point is it's all about... if you've got two parents who are separated and you're technically being raised in a single-parent household, it doesn't mean you're going to suddenly go off the rails. I mean, I think what we're talking about here is class, we're talking about opportunity, we're talking about education, and we're talking about, in the end, you tend to do what your parents do.
See, that's the point, isn't it? And who can say that one parent isn't a role model? I know, as I say, plenty of people brought up in the most horrendous situations where they're at each other's throats, and patently the kid would have been better served if they've been, separated parents and they visited them each. What's your view on this?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, like nuclear family, when we talk about that, it's basically like a narrow template where, for some reason, we still think that a mother and a father and two children is the best way to run things. But you're right.
arguments in a household are horrendous. I know. I think that I actually find the idea of a nuclear family quite backwards. I actually find it really.
I don't think we should go that far.
Well, I do. I think
Why
of myself.
She wants to revolutionise everything. I mean,
no. But look, listen.
I mean, we can say that we shouldn't be tarnishing single families with all your kids are going to be criminals, fail at school, but we then shouldn't say that the traditional family, right? I'll give you an example. My parents are married for 60 years, and I used to say to her, this is genuinely true. I used to say, did you argue with him? She said, honest to God, she said, I went deaf after 6 months. She said to me, but the way we were brought up, we stuck around and we got our heads down and we had kids, and that has changed. People do walk quicker, and I
think you have to look at the statistics as well. So when we if we're wanting society to be better and we're wanting outcomes to be better for children, we know from looking at all the research, all the statistics, all the studies, that children who are raised by both biological parents have a much better chance of doing well in life.
I don't like. What do you mean by that?
But it's not because of the fact that they're being raised by biological parents. It's because of the place that they come from tends to be a better place. So what you're doing is you're taking a group of statistics and you're turning them on their head. What you should be saying is that actually the reason why people who don't do as well as they do is because of where they've come from. It so happens that many of their parents have split up. That's it.
No, but I think you also have to remember is that when parents are, when you've got a mum and a dad, you've got, two people who've biologically parented that child, and they are together, and they have got they've both got the child's best interests at heart.
I mean,
more so.
But
Boris Johnson.
again, you can't say. I'm sorry. I consider myself as good a parent as the women I've had children with, and I don't understand how you're saying that if you stay together, that makes you a better parent. I'm as good a parent. I think it's ridiculous.
No, but nobody is saying.
But you've just said that two biological parents being together gives a kid a better chance. I completely disagree with that.
But that's what the statistics show.
What statistics?
Yeah, but that's why statistics are pointless. Boris Johnson's parents split up at a very early age. He's been Prime Minister of this country. He didn't do too badly for himself. He might say he's not much of a parent himself because he follows his parents. But he didn't do badly as a result of being raised in a single-parent household.
Well, I think when you look at the research that is actually showing...
I don't like research. I just don't like it because you can twist it.
But then we all talk about evidence-based research and policy.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean anything.
But policy should be based on.
Are you saying that if a couple stay together and are married, their kid is going to have a better chance of life?
Statistically, yes.
Okay, well, you keep saying statistically. I mean, I'm sorry.
I don't see that.
What else?
No.
When we're talking about policy and when we're talking
I think
about...
it's too sweet.
When we're talking about children and our society's future and how do we make things better, then actually we do have to look at the evidence and we do have to look at the research. And at the moment, there's kind of a mindset where people think, oh, yeah, what happens in school, that matters, and, poverty, which of course is a huge factor.
Massive. If you grow up in a two-parent household, biological parents, and you haven't got any money and you go to a terrible school, you're obviously going to turn out badly.
And you live in an estate where you might get stabbed to death.
How do we then? How do we? We've got a couple in poverty. How do we make life better for the couple in poverty to be able to raise their children?
You give them social mobility, which has disappeared in this country,
Absolutely.
which used to exist in the 1980s.
But you know
what you do? You do away with public schools, for a start, and you can't put kids in public schools, and then everybody goes to the same school, and everybody starts to get to know each other, and there's no strata in society.
I'm a bit naive, OK? And we're in the middle of a crisis that's affecting major swathes of this country. I'm still naive enough to believe that everybody should and hopefully gets an opportunity. But there is absolute proof. I'm not going to say research because I tend to agree with Mike on this a lot. I believe that research, that sweeping generalisation, is an insult to many, many millions of decent single parents. And it's also an insult to kids who are brought up in a single-parent family and who have gone on and made something of their life. Because, trust me, I know many people from my ex-life who stay together and have kid after kid with absolutely no regard for them. I'll tell you what I do think. I think traditional family values, when you are in that unit, sometimes could be a lot better, but that could be a single parent or two parents together.
Same-sex couple.
Yes, same-sex couple.
We have to look at this objectively, OK? Because everybody has their own emotional baggage and their own emotional stake to bring to this. But saying, look, X situation is statistically better than Y situation is not the same as actually kind of dissing on a whole section of society. I've said all along, nobody is destined to be a statistic. But if you know that a certain situation is going to be better for children, then why don't you incentivise this situation?
Well, incentivise people to stay together when they don't get on.
No, I think we can do a lot more.
What do you make of single same-sex relationships?
I thought we'd get onto this. I think what adults choose to do is consenting adults choose to do is up to them. However, what I would say is, and I'm very clear on this, and it will get your ire. I do not agree with taking babies away from their mothers. You know, I feel very strongly where
Who's
you've got
taking same-sex couples.
No,
what do you mean? They don't take babies away from mothers. What
where
are you
you
talking
have
about?
two men who are having a baby. Where's that baby come from?
Well, it could come from any number of places.
What are you
It could come
talking
from-
about?
they could
Are you
adopt a
being
baby.
obtuse? What do you mean?
What do you mean? So, OK, how do you make a baby?
OK, I understand the
Want me to
biology
show
of
you?
it, but you're saying like a child who's been adopted, that's not a valid parent?
The thing, no,
What are you
I'm
talking
saying
about?
that where you have a situation where a child has been adopted or removed from its parents, that is...
No child has been
incredibly-
removed from its parents,
But
surely.
you believe in two parents parenting and giving love, and if two men can give that to a
But
child,
where's the
what's
mother?
wrong with
Where
that?
is the... We
the
know
mother's
that
not able.
young babies need their mothers, and you only remove a baby from their mother
dear.
if the mother
But there are
is
plenty of-
really
no, but there are
incapable
no-
of
there are
doing
no
it.
I've
cases.
changed
Hang
more
on.
nappies than you've
There
had
are
up
no-
dinners,
no,
and
hang
I'll
on.
tell you, I'm
I
as
don't
good a
have
parent to
Jeremy.
my kids
There are
as
no-
any
I am
mother.
not
Sorry.
dissing your parenthood.
No, but hang
You
on,
can't
Caroline,
say
wait.
it's about love. If it's about love, two men, two women can give that love. I'm not dissing you. I don't mean it badly,
Nobody's saying
but...
that, Jeremy. Nobody's saying that two men can't give a...
But you're saying, where is the
But you're
mother?
talking about a baby's needs. You're
Yeah, but
talking
hang
about
on,
an infant and a baby's needs.
You've been talking a lot. The point is this. Nobody takes a child away from its mother. Many of the mothers who provide a child for a same-sex couple have done so willingly. They've decided to be a surrogate mother, and they've done that out of their own choice, which they're perfectly entitled to do. I'm sorry if you don't like it, but that's their choice, right?
Well, it's not
People
actually-
have freedom
it's
of
not-
choice.
it's not
Lots
actually-
of children are abandoned by their mothers because either they can't handle it or because they're mentally not well enough to look after them. They go to adoption. Plenty of people get adopted and have very successful lives.
They do.
You know,
And
so
I'm a bit-
to talk
I'm a-
about women having children literally ripped away from them is bonkers.
No,
Nobody
it's
does
not.
that.
It's absolutely not.
It is.
Adoption is a least worst option, OK? Adoption
Shall I tell you
happens
one of
when
the things that
something's
I could
gone
talk
wrong.
about from now to the end of time, but I haven't? We have the most antiquated adoption laws
ridiculous.
in the world.
Yeah.
There are thousands of children, and we'll disagree on this. There are thousands of children in this country who should be adopted. These people that go... Did you know what? Our laws are ridiculous. And I think, and maybe I'm wrong, a loving parent on its own, that's what we started about. Two of the same sex, loving, that's fine. I go about traditional family values. I think a lot of those have dissipated, but those values can be part of a one-parent family and a two-parent family and a same-sex family. It's down to the parents, isn't it?
They can, but where you have a child in need of a home, a child has lost a mother and a father.
We'll have to agree to disagree, but
So-
listen, you know, no, listen, everybody is entitled... You're looking
Well,
absolutely...
no, but it's because we're just demonising. We're demonising same-sex couples. The idea
No,
that
we're not. What we're doing is we're talking about children's needs.
Same-sex couples go in and rip children away from mothers. That's such a mental
yeah,
thing
but
to
I
say.
think where no, it's not mental. I
Like-
think where you have two men raising a baby. That baby has come from a mother. You have removed
And
whatever
two men
reason.
will give that
we have to go.
Two men cannot breastfeed. Two men.
A lot of
Just
women
speak.
can't
I'm sorry,
breastfeed. A lot of women
time
can't
out.
breastfeed.
It's my luck, time out. You can continue backstage, ladies. Thank you very much indeed. Mike and I, it's the only time in our lives when we said very little. Right next on Uncensored, here's a good one. Should smart motorways and speed limits be scrapped if Liz Truss, as expected, becomes